Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, Pak Bungaran yang saya hormati. Pak Bungaran tuh saya dulu pernah jadi deputi di Menteri BUMN. Pak Bungaran komisaris utama Pupuk Indonesia, Pak. Jadi pernah ketemu berapa kali. Pak Tommy, Andi, teman-teman yang lain nggak kelihatan silau. Yang saya tahu ada Mr. Bachelor Barata AWS. Berata. I don't know, because there are two things, right? First, the invitation in English, but I was given the title is in Bahasa. And secondly, I work right now. I'm a Director General of Digital Ecosystems, but they given me the theme of the participation of private sectors. So I work in the government, so I got confused. And one thing, a disclaimer, I'm not an agricultural expert. Actually, I'm an economist by training, but my certifications in finance, my degree in strategic management, and public policy. So when I work now in I'm holding a position as the Director General of the Ecosystems Ministry of Communication and Digital Affairs. So here's the thing. Let me start with this. I always start with this. It's actually it's a simple slide, but actually it means a lot. Meaning, is it bahasa Indonesia atau bahasa Inggris ya? So, I always remember when I was in college, the I-Core. You know, when we were young, we were given the information that Indonesia and agricultural countries, that agriculture has the largest contribution to our GDP. Currently, agriculture sectors accounts for about 13% of the total GDP, or ranked number 3 after manufacturing and trading. But the thing is, Indonesia has a very ambitious target in economic growth, 8% annually. You know, if you look at the hat and the jacket of the ministers of finance, Pak Purbaya, dia punya jacket and hats 8%. itu quite intriguing. Karena kenapa? It is very intriguing because it has to be the top of his mind, trying to create 8%. When you're saying that 8% growth of the economy, that means agricultural sectors, which is the third largest contributors to our GDP, it must go also along about 8% or more, probably. Because manufacturing for the last, sorry to say this, for the last several years, manufacturing contributions went down. Now accounts for only 19%, for previously about more than 28%. So that's one thing. But unfortunately, look at it. Anybody familiar with I-Core? Or everybody is familiar with this? In the incremental capital output ratio, the highest the I-Core is means that the economy is not efficient. That means we need lots of inputs to create outputs, you know. So if you look at this in Asian countries, Malaysia is 4.5, Thailand is 4.4, Vietnam 4.6, Philippines is 3.7. So this is what is worrying, you know. Okay, that means two things. If agriculture contributes, the third largest contributors to our GDP, that means agriculture sector must grow beyond 8% and must have I-Core far below 6 in order to keep the economy growing. That's number one. Ya, kliknya nih. Ya biar nggak ini. Terima kasih. It's my asrot. My asrot is a PhD director. So this is what is happening. This is just a demographic statistics, a general statistic one. Pak Rahmat mentions that the another problems that the farmers of Indonesia are aging. Almost 2/3 of our farmers are above 50, or between 45 to 65. So only a few below. Jangan berangkat, jangan. Okay. So yeah. While the demographic of Indonesia, 70% are young age. But if you look at into the details, only 0.20% are PhDs, like my astronaut, and only like less than 5% who holds a bachelor degrees, and the vast majority is still in the primary and secondary educations. Well, meanwhile, we have like 280 million populations. The good thing is 80% of them already connected to internet, which is the thing that I'm going to talk about how digital interventions can be part of agricultural ecosystems. Next. This is digital ecosystems. But before I talk the how we can, gimana caranya to bisa menyatukan the digital ecosystem and agricultural ecosystems. So digital ecosystem at basically three level: core, narrow, and broad. The core level is from the telecom industry, we call it connectivity. And then the narrow is about the cultivated resilient competitive industry. It's more like all the startups. And the broad levels, as I mentioned earlier, digital drive transformation of sectors to increase productivity, reduce I-core, and support initiatives of achieving 8% growth. Next. This is what we do. First, let me reiterate. We have an aging populations. The demographic is still dominated by low-educated people. The I-core is very high, but still we need to do digital interventions. Lack of resources, we have to establish what we call Garuda Spark. Next. Later I will, ini terlalu technical. Next. Garuda Spark is actually our initiative. The interventions of the government to increase private participations in agricultural sectors. How? Garuda Spark is a hub for innovations which we are going to be established in 20 cities and 500 districts. Garuda Spark would introduce the use of technology to all sectors, including agriculture. Garuda Spark aimed to develop, to nurture, to cultivate the innovations and create 10,000 tech company and produce 2 million to 4 million techpreneurs. Now, people make questions. You may question, what is the term by, what do I mean by saying techpreneurs? Techpreneurs is when a farmer that usually use traditional method, but when they be part of era tani and use technology, seeing everything as an ecosystem. They actually have become a techpreneur because they take advantage of the technology. That's why we need to create 500 spokes in every district. Next. This is before this. This is what we've done for the last 6 months. We actually have several projects in Sragen and Sukabumi where we invited some of the startups, soon to be tech company, and we gathered some kelompok tani, gapok tan, and train them how to use technology. It's not really a complicated technology, but for example, in Sragen kita pakai yang namanya IoT. IoT, we invite 2 local tech company that has already innovated some innovations in IoT and a simple edge AI. So we trained about a couple hundreds of farmers. So they use this gadget and instrument untuk bertani. The result is to think. They reduce the cost. Ini yang untuk mereka ya. Kita coba untuk farming melon and paddy field. Fertilizers usage went down 40%. 1 hektar itu biasanya konsumsi 1,1 ton di Sragen, went down to only 640 kilogram. Itu untuk paddy. So about 40%. Kenapa? Karena dengan IoT, they know when to kasih pupuknya, spread the fertilizers. They monitor the conditions of the NPK and so on and so forth. In melon juga, conditions of the soil, water. We also put some automatic, they can water the plant from home. And the quality, and it shortened also the period of harvesting. Melon itu usually 70 days, but with technology, they can cut the durations of the harvest from 70 days to 60 days. What is more interesting is, kalau buah itu kan ada yang namanya sweetness level. They can improve the sweetness level from 12 to 15 if they manage with technology properly. As a result, the value added that comes from the use of technology increases. So, cost reduce, value increase, revenue increase. If you look at this, if the nation could do the same thing, the ICOR would reduce. The economic growth would be increasing. That's a prototype that we did in Sragen. And Sukabumi, actually, we did it with fish farming. Fish farming also for the use of makanan, feeds, and also the durations of the harvesting. Fish production increased by 40%, accompanied by reduction in operating costs. So, this is the collaborations between, we call tri-sector collaborations, between private sectors, those young people who just finished university degree, most of them from, from in Central Java. In Sukabumi, the IoT is from Yogyakarta, the techno company. In Sragen, actually from Jakarta and Bandung. very young people, below 30. All of them are below 30. The farmers, local government, central government, and academia, the professors. So we work together, and it's actually create a very satisfying result. Next. This is what I mentioned. That's why, because we intend to say that the technology is supposed to be inclusive. I'm also saying, oh sorry, I'm a bit, saya lompat-lompat dikit. I'm also in charge of the adoption of new technology in Indonesia, AI dan lain-lainnya. That's why my first principle of the use of technology, it must be inclusive. Karena begitu penggunaan teknologi tidak dilakukan secara inklusif, maka the biggest dangers of the use of technology is widening the gap between the rich and the poor. That's why we need to have this 500 book. Yes, we have some shortcomings, we have weaknesses because our people are not that educated, their education level are not as high as those in developed countries, but it doesn't mean we have to membuat mereka terpinggirkan dari kemampuan menggunakan teknologi. So we're going to have 20 hubs and 500 spokes. Currently, we already established 3, Jakarta, Bandung, and Medan. This is very interesting. This is the top 2 quick win cities that we mentioned. Another 6 to 7 are going to be built in 2026, 2026. As I mentioned, the slogan of Garuda Spark itu Innovation Hub dengan punya slogannya, ini bukan seperti perintah dari sentral, tapi koordinasi dari sentral, so nationally coordinated, locally adapted, so jadi melihat potensi, local potentials, but globally connected. So, untuk pertanian yang mana? Look at, for example, like in Medan, largest in Sumatra, we just launched the Garuda Spark last month. It's going to be focusing on the agri-tech, food tech, trade platforms, and retail and FMCG. Again, Garuda Spark is tri-sector collaborations between government, central government, local government, academia, universities, and private sectors. In Medan, we are supported by Post Indonesia businesses, Clapham, one of the co-working space, and probably you know that our friends from startup Otten and Fore Coffee. In Jakarta, the city is actually very near, just across the street, the FX. It's for FinTech, Smart City, and Green Tech. The sponsors are Paragon, Wardah, and several others. And we're going to have, one more in Bandung. In Bandung is with Salim Group. Bukan apa namanya? Block 71 and US and ITB. So next year we are going to see this, Garuda Spark to be established, and more. I can't say the numbers of the spoke because it's going to be like a lot larger in terms of the amount. Next. This is two. Okay, this is already next. No, before that. 60s. Because before I end my speech, this is going to be the last one. The Director General of Digital Ecosystems. The key of ecosystem is sustainability. And to be sustainable, you need to be adaptable. So that's why I always call digital ecosystem or the economy needs to have the adaptation cycles. There are 6 C's for digital economy to be sustained and to foster the growth of, to be as an accelerators of economic development. First, you need to have connectivity, digital and physical links that enable information and resource flows. Because everything in digital economy, data is the new money. Data is your life. So the exchange of data needs connectivity. Second is, of course, capital. Funding of research and everything costs a lot. Sometimes, there was an old saying, for something that is not profitable, give it to the government to fund. Something that is less profitable, give it to state-owned enterprise. But something that is very profitable, give it to private sectors. But that's not the case. You need to have the collaboration in here. That's why we need the involvement of sovereign capital. Probably, INA and Antara would be involved. You need to also to fund the venture capitals for the tech company. We need to have those kind of investors to invest. And we need to fund also the MSME, including the farmers. We need the competency, skills, talent, and national capacity to execute them. That's why we built this Garuda Spark. We need content and data. It's actually smoothed by my Sony. I put it as commercially viability. Because content and data is not just for you to keep. Data is not for you just to hoard, to put it under to put it in your servers. Data needs to be exchanged. Data needs to be commercialized. That's why the data creates economy when they are exchanged. Markets and transactions that convert innovation into value. Of course, in order to do that, you need compliance. That's why we also create a compliance for the use of new technology and like artificial intelligence, etc. And also the catalysts. What's the catalyst? I call demand creations. Sometimes private sectors, they want to come into agricultural sectors, but lack of information. That's why the government needs to intervene. Sometimes the venture capital wants to invest in a tech company that is helping the agricultural sectors, but they don't know the market conditions. That's why the government needs to intervene. Policy and incentive that accelerates transition and feedback. That creates demand signal to the business, to the funders. So these 6 C's are very important for the adaptations of new economy that is going to be very much loaded with digital technology. And the KPI, you know the KPI is on? Okay. So this is my last quote. If the economy is going to be sustainable, so the agricultural sectors needs to adapt. Collaboration is a must. The use of technology is inevitable. And we collaborate, 3 things. If the policy is there, the process is there, and you have the people and organizations, then you must need also the tools and technology. So thank you for the opportunity to speak in this very distinguished audience. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Edwin Hidayat Abdullah.